Hey, iWaited family, it's Mimi again, and this time I'm coming to you guys with a new installment, and I'm calling it the Virgin Chronicles. Because I have a few friends that are virgins, and I think sometimes we ignore the fact that there are people that have honored God, with their bodies their entire life and didn't, stop and make a decision about it, but it's been something they've been on a journey on since they were born, basically. And so I have my friend today, my sister, my covenant sister, Areeba Johnson.
Hello.
And so we met a few years ago. Yeah, through our other friend, LaQuisha. I think it was through LaQuisha I met you.
Right.
Yes. And so we met a few years ago, just kind of in passing. And then this past year or two, we've met at different conferences. And then now she's also under my mentor. So we're now covenant sisters. And she's just a great person to be around, and just a sweet spirit. Really soft and gentle and quiet. So I really just wanted to interview her and just kind of pick her brain on what it's like to be a virgin in this society where, you have stories like Breland and Tim Bowman that go viral, but people criticize them so much for being virgins when they got married, which is so weird. And so, I just wanted to kind of interview her and get her thoughts on what her experience has been like so far. So, Areeba, if you would just introduce yourself and tell us how old you are and what you do.
Sure. So as she stated, Areeba Johnson. I am 33. I am a social worker. I work in mental health. As a mental health counselor, I work at a substance abuse recovery center where I provide individual and family counseling to women and their children.
Nice. Okay, and so give us a little bit of your background, like how were you raised, and were you raised in a Christian home, that type of thing?
Okay. Yes. So I grew up, first of all, in Church of God, so Pentecostal.
Okay.
And
Church of God is different from Church of God in Christ?
It is, but I think it's still that same kind of feel, like it's very...
So is that Kojic?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, well, Kojic is Church of God in Christ, but I mean, it falls underneath the same, I think it falls underneath the same denomination or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But like for me growing up, it was very strict, very religious. Like when I was really young, like it was forbidden to wear makeup and jewelry and pants. Like, oh my gosh, it was really bad. My dad, who, his father was, very active in the church, was a deacon. So a lot of the things his father did, my dad did. He was a deacon, went to church. Every time the church door was open, he was there. He had the church key. Like when I tell you I was at every service, I mean, Wednesday night Bible study, Thursday night choir rehearsal, Friday night youth service. I think there was something on Monday, and then Sunday all day church. When I tell you I lived in church, I lived in church.
Wow.
So even though I grew up in church, I didn't necessarily grow up in Christ. So,
there's a difference, guys.
It is a huge difference, because it's the formality of just going to church, and participating, but not really having a true relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up in church, like I said, from a baby, I went to the same church was christened in Liberty City Church of God, and then eventually our pastor broke away, and he started a non-denominational church.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Faith Alive, and now it's Presence Gathering. About 3 years I left there and went to Faith
so that
Center.
was Pastor Tomlinson.
Yeah, Russell Thompson.
Oh,
yeah.
So he was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So he came to Liberty City Church of God,
mm-hmm.
and then he broke away from Liberty City Church of God and started his own church, and it became non-denominational.
Mm-hmm.
But the same people I grew up with, a lot of them moved.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a church where, they literally was my church family. Like, my godmother, who was at my christening, people who knew me from birth,
Right.
So this was this comfortable church family that, I went to church every Sunday, choir rehearsal, Bible study. Like I said, that was my foundation. But it wasn't necessarily my relationship,
mm-hmm.
with God. So having that background, I always know to do the right thing,
right.
Morally and ethically right, doing all of the, the things that, my parents instilled in me. my mom, she was very transparent and very open or shared about, Areeba, keeping yourself. She was actually a teenage mom. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, she had my brother when she was 16 or 17. So she shared that story with me at a very young age. And she would always tell me, Areeba, I don't want you to follow in the footsteps of me.
Wow.
So her sharing and being transparent and open with me, from a young age, I said, I don't want to follow in those footsteps.
Right.
So I would always say, I want like a gentleman. I'm not going to give myself up. I'm going to wait till marriage. And that was just something from young, like middle school, high school.
Right.
So when everybody had crush and dating, I was like, you can be my friend.
Right.
That's all. We good. Like, we ain't going no further than that. You can be my friend. So that was really my upbringing, just grew up in the church, and my parents are very strict. A lot of people said that, I was privileged or, sheltered. But I would say I was privileged. My parents worked really hard to provide, a lifestyle where the both of them were very involved and active in my life and made sure my basic needs, all my needs were met. And my dad was very strict. Like, I couldn't go to nobody's house unless he knew your mama, daddy, grandpa, auntie, uncle.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't spend a night at a friend's house unless he knew who they were.
I think that's a Caribbean thing, too. Like, my mom didn't play that about, like, letting us stay the night at people's house. And the one time she let me stay the night at somebody's house, I almost drowned in a lake. I almost drowned in a lake.
Oh, no.
I never told my mom that story. She's passed away now, but I never told her that story, because if I would have told her that, we would have never left the house ever again. So yeah, that's a big Caribbean thing.
Yes, my dad did not play. My dad and my mom didn't play about that. The one friend I went to, he had to know the whole family, and they preferred friends to come to my house than me going to theirs. Right. Even when it came to like my cousins, like on my dad's side, I have a huge family. I have a lot of girl cousins, but on my mom's side, it's a lot of. My mom has 2 brothers, and all of them has boys. So for a long time, it was just me and my boy cousins. And he wasn't be comfortable with me sleeping at my cousin's house. Yeah. Like, oh, it's all boys? No.
Yeah.
No. All the boys in one room? No. You come out. You're not going to sleep in there with them. You sleep in this room. So they was very strict, and I was very sheltered. So for that reason, a lot of it definitely protected me from a lot of things. I didn't experience sexual trauma. I didn't experience, anyone, being inappropriate with me, because my parents is very strict and, they kept me very sheltered. I went to a private school my entire life, so my story is definitely different,
right?
For the most part, and there was for a long time I was almost ashamed of it. But
right.
I was like, why be ashamed of something that my parents worked so hard to provide a lifestyle so that I can be protected from anything,
right? So. And I mean, I think that's a good thing, because I think sometimes parents, in their effort to allow their kids to go certain places or be around certain people, your kids are exposed to trauma. And I know people with stories of they got molested by their friend's dad when they went to go spend the night at that house. So, those things do happen. So I don't think there's anything wrong with a parent like sheltering your kids. And I know because of what has happened to me, I'm going to be that parent that's like, you can't spend a night at nobody's house. I don't care. Like, you're just not going to be that kid. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think it's just so weird how society makes us feel so ashamed about like stuff that's good.
Yeah.
Or that's like positive. So I really find that interesting that you were ashamed of the fact that you had a great upbringing.
No, it's true, because, and when I get around friends, and as I got older, they're doing this, they're in the club, they're doing all of these different things, and I wasn't allowed to do those things. So for me, it's like I didn't fit in. I never fit in. So of course it caused me to like withdraw and say like, well, I'm not going to talk about my upbringing, because everybody else doing all this other stuff that I'm not doing.
Right. And
I don't want them to know that, well, I didn't get to go to the club like that. I mean, granted, I went my prom night. That was probably the only time in high school until I got to college. But before then, I wasn't the person hanging out late at night. Like nowadays, teenagers, they go on to different places and staying out all type. I had curfew. Like the one birthday party I remember a friend invited me to, my daddy was at the party at 10 o'clock. Like, if you don't come out now, I'm coming in. I was like, oh, time to go.
Oh, no. Listen.
Like, my parents didn't play, so I didn't go out much. And because of that, I wasn't as exposed or experienced. So it's like when I'm around other people and they're talking about this and that, I can't talk about that because that's not my life. That's not my experience. So it almost made me feel like, well, gosh, something's wrong with me, that everybody else is doing it, but I'm not. Right. And it wasn't until I got older until I saw how it benefited my life. But growing up, it was like, no, I didn't tell people I was a church girl. You know, my friends didn't even know I was a Christian. So, you know, it was like, how can I fit in? But I never did. I never fit in. So.
Yeah. And it's, for the people that are made to stand out, the more you try to fit in, the more you stick out. Like, the more you don't fit in. And I think we don't get that at such a young age. We don't get the fact that you're meant to stand out. We're not all meant to be like the same. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. It
is.
What would you say? So I heard you say your mom told you at a young age about her experience of being a teenage mom. Would you say that was the biggest factor in you remaining a virgin, or what was the biggest factor?
That was definitely the biggest factor. She really sat down and explained to me, you know, Areeba, wait, it's not worth, you know, making that decision at a young age. And she was like, her first time, she got pregnant. Yeah. You know what I mean? Wow. And for her, it was scary, you know. She was scared, and, you know, she hid it from her family. And when she did have my oldest brother, you know, even though her family accepted it, my family accepted it, but there was still like this disappointment in her, like, man, you know, she was like the top of her class, and, you know, she had these aspirations to do all these different things, and now she has to take care of a child, and that changes everything. Right. So her being so open and telling me, you know, Areeba, just wait. It gave me a different perspective. Like, okay, it's not about having sex and having kids. So, you know, her being open and honest with me definitely, you know, I believe made a difference in me just wanting to really wait and to be careful on who I choose, or even who I just connect to, you know, in regards to relationships, you know, and not to go to that extent, like to make sure I always was like, no, we're not going to go there. Right. You know, let's just be friends, you know, and even if, you know, they did try, like, nah, we cut it off immediately. So definitely my mom played a big role in that.
So ultimately, would you like to be married?
Of course. Yes, Lord Jesus. Look, let me tell you, I'm 33. I've been waiting for a long time. I'm like, you know, there was a time where I wanted to get married because I wanted sex really bad. Not gonna lie. But then, you know, it's funny how, as a therapist, you know, there was a time where I was providing counseling to just married couples, and a lot of them had DV. So I had to go into the home, domestic violence.
Oh, okay.
So I had to go into the home, provide services, because once they have children in the home, the whole key is if I get in there, you know, to prevent the kids from being removed. So I had this season in my life where I was providing counseling for like 2 or 3 years to all of these couples, and I'm like, I ain't even in a relationship. How am I gonna help them? And I was like, God, what are you doing here? But it allowed me to see and hear their story. And to hear all the challenges that go behind, you know, even though marriage is a beautiful thing, but it's a lot of work towards it. You know, it's a lot of work you have to put into it. It's not just for sex. It's not just to say, oh, look, I have a boo now. No. So, you know, so it began to change my perspective. Like, okay, you know, during that time where I was craving, like, Lord, you know, Lord, I'm going to make him into my husband. I'm trying to mold him. Let me dress him up and do all this other stuff because I just want to get married so bad. You know, and then seeing that and being exposed to that, even to my parents' relationship, you know, yes, they've been together for 35 years. They'll be celebrating their 35th anniversary this year, actually. And even seeing the challenges within their relationship, you know, it just was like, okay, you know, I want marriage, but I want it the right way. Right. You know, I want it the right way. I don't want it to be an scapegoat or to just have sex and then have to have all these different problems that come behind it. Right. So, and knowing that, you know, it was just like, okay, yes, I want marriage, but I can wait until it's the right time with the right person. Right.
And I think people don't realize you're not having sex 24/7. You actually have to talk with them, budget, run a household, go to work, just all these different, have babies. When you have babies, the dynamics of your marriage change drastically. And I know this from just seeing my married friends. And so a lot of people who are waiting or who are virgins, you know, yes, you want to have a companion and eventually have sex, but that's not the whole marriage. There is a lot that goes into marriage, and having friends now where I have a big majority of my friends that are now married, listen, the background of it makes you say like, okay, I can wait a little longer, like a little bit longer, because there's a lot. And so I hear you say, you know, even in high school, and you would tell guys like, no, we'll just be friends. So have you dated and had relationships, or have you just all of the guys you've, you know, talked to just been friends?
So I would go on dates, and dates for me was like going out to eat, you know, going to the movies, you know, going different places or whatnot. And I would let them know that I just want to be friends. And yeah.
What?
Don't look at me like,
are you trying to date or not?
But because to me, my whole, now I had this philosophy. Don't laugh, y'all. I'm different. Okay, I'm different. Yes, I'm different.
No,
wait,
the goal is.
But no,
you start off as friends. Okay, right. Go ahead. Let me let you finish.
I start off as a friend, right? Because I want to get to know you. To me, when you say boyfriend and girlfriend, so when we're dating, we're getting to know each other. Right. And this is what I explained, that when we're dating, we're getting to know each other, so therefore we're in the friendship zone right now. Now, if we get to the point where I see this as potential, now we can get married, you know, and then at that point, it's like a list of things you have to be able to show, and for us to say that, okay, now we can go to the intimate level. Because to me, I'm like, what's the purpose of saying boyfriend and girlfriend if I'm not going to become intimate with you? So the whole purpose of me to just be a friend of you. You're a friend of mine because we're not intimate. Right. You know, in order for me to protect myself and not being able to get tempted or to go, you know, to that place that's going to cause me to now, you know, cause me to have to compromise and do some things that I don't want to, I tell them we're just friends.
So you don't think that kind of shows men that you have a wall up?
It probably does. Maybe that's why I'm still single. But but honestly, if they want, I have this thing that if you want someone bad enough,
right, but we can't make it more difficult for men. I think sometimes for us as women, and I'm telling you this from a place of, I'm real like, listen, if you're not pursuing, you're not doing this, you're not, but I'm understanding more and more each day that when you can't make it where the man has to dive off a cliff to get you. You know what I mean? You can still have standards, and I believe in standards. Like, I'm the standard person. I believe in standards. I believe in having boundaries. I believe in, you know, letting a man know, hey, this is what I expect from you, and this is what I want. But you also have to understand that if you come out the gate like, I don't know you like that, we just friends, I'm not about to get intimate with you, I'm not about to, it's already like, dude, I at least asked you out on a date. I want to get to know you. Men asking you out on a date means they want to get to know you, for the most part. Some men want to see what they can get, but for the most part, when a man asks you out on a date, that means he wants to get to know you. So there's an understanding that we are friends and we're getting to know each other. So I think, and y'all, I'm sorry, I'm talking like friend now. But I think, you know,
okay. I'm willing to learn.
But I think, like, you know, I don't even think you have to say from the get, like, we're just friends. Because I think when a man wants to then move to that level of dating you and being serious, they're going to ask. Because I think a man asking you out on a date already knows what it is. You're a 33-year-old virgin. Hello. That means you're not just giving it up.
Right. So the thing is, now I don't usually tell them up front that I'm a virgin.
Well, no, of course not.
Okay. And when I say that, you know, of course in our communication, it's like, okay, we're getting to know each other type of deal. And, you know, I don't know if I would tell them, you know, yes, you know, I definitely want to build a friendship with you, because usually, you know, if it's someone that I've already been friends with, then of course that's a different story. But if it's someone I'm just kind of, for the first time they're asking me out, I don't know who you are, let's build a friendship, you know. But when it's someone who I've already, you know, established a friendship with, then okay, of course I'm more relaxed with you. But for the most part, I think I'm usually nervous and uncomfortable and, you know, all those different things, and maybe that is my defense mechanism. Like, okay, I don't really know you, I don't trust you, so let me let you know you're in the friend zone. Right. Starting off.
Yeah, but when you put men in the friend zone, a lot of them don't think they're going to come out of the friend zone. When you automatically put a man in the friend zone, then they literally sometimes shut down, and they're just, the interest goes away because they think you're just going to be their friend forever.
But then it's like based on, you know, how often you call, we talk, we go out, and then I get comfortable enough, because initially I am, yes, it's like this barrier, like, okay, you know, you got to put work in. So maybe that's my mindset, you know?
You have to practice being open. I'm telling you this from somebody who all my friends call me like a lockbox. For real. You just have to practice being open. We'll talk about this after the video.
Yeah.
Okay. No, okay. So do you know like other virgins in terms of like friends or associates or that type of thing?
3.
3
other.
Sheesh.
Yeah, 3 others that I know, you know, based on what they're telling me, of course, that they virgins kept themselves. You know, one is like in their 20s, the other's in their 30s, and you know, it's like, okay, so we in this together. We like the 4 crew. I don't know who else in the world, or you know, I'm sure I know there's more in the world, but you know, definitely in my circle of people that I know. So there's like us 4 who we know we're keeping ourselves, and you know, we kind of speak often about relationships and encourage each other and their desires to get married as well, especially as they get in their late 30s. It's like, man, you know, they want to get married, they want to have kids, you know, they want companionship.
Right.
But besides those 3 individuals, everyone else, no.
Wow. So, in terms of like people knowing that the people that do know you're a virgin, have you ever like received criticism, you know, about?
Of course. I think that's what, you know, kept me quiet about it.
So what do people say?
Like, oh, look, what do you do? Like, how you... Okay, first of all, let me go to one incident. In high school, I remember my last year in high school, and I was telling them I was a virgin. It was like, really? You still a virgin? How old are you? I was like 17 at that time. And it was like, oh, so you don't even know what it looked like? And, you know, they started asking all these questions like, so... what are you gonna do when you do get someone? You gonna be scared of it? Like, you know, it's just like this kind of you're weird type of thing because everybody else is doing it.
Right.
And then I remember one time hearing on the radio, you know, I think it was Hot 105 or something. They said if you're in your 20s and you're still a virgin, something's wrong with you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, something's wrong with you. And even when I hear like, even my brothers when they were dating, back when they were dating, or even just hearing different males when they, you know, talk about, oh, if she's still a virgin, something must be wrong with her. You know, and to hear people say that, it create like something's wrong with me because you're hearing everybody say that if you're a virgin, something's wrong with you.
Wow.
You know, and so it create this insecurity and this almost shame where I didn't tell people. You know, because when I do tell you and the response is something's wrong with you, that just like, man, that beat on my self-esteem, and I didn't want to hear that. So in order to avoid from hearing it, I just don't talk about it. So when people go into relationships, I shut down. And that's probably where a lot of the fear of becoming really intimate with someone as well, going into a relationship, because I'm like, you know, how are they going to receive me?
Right.
And so when I'm talking to someone, I'm like, I need to feel 100% confident and comfortable with you to be able to go there, because if not, I'm going to feel like you're going to reject me.
Right.
So I reject you first before you reject me.
Right.
And a lot of times that's what happened, because I'm just getting to the place now where I'm sharing my story.
Right.
Whereas before I didn't.
Yeah, I remember when Quisha introduced you and she's like, yeah, she's still a virgin. And you were just like, don't tell people. I was like, why don't you want people to know?
Oh my God. Yes, you were there.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, she broadcasted that. Yeah, I wasn't ready then. I was.
Yeah,
now,
you were totally not ready.
I wasn't ready. I was like, oh my God, if the earth could just open up, I'll fall in it, because she did not just announce that to the whole room of people. Yeah. But been delivered. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. But back then, that was like what, 4 or more?
Yeah.
4 years ago. Yeah. That story wasn't ready to come out yet. It was like still hidden.
And I literally created a t-shirt just because of her called No Longer a Closet Virgin, because I was like, what are you ashamed of? This is like a great thing. I just don't even understand. Oh my goodness. So would you say, like, in your season where you're single, like right now in this time where you're single, do you feel like you're thriving as a single person, or do you just feel like you're surviving and kind of hanging on?
Now I'm thriving because, you know, I go to a lot of different events for singles ministries, and, you know, I allow people to be, to pour into me and to really give me an understanding of what single means, and why it's important that during this time of being single, how to really embrace the moment, really build my relationship with God, pursue education, career, all those different things.
Yeah.
So now I am thriving.
Right.
Before, probably like maybe 7 years ago, okay, maybe 6'5". I was just surviving.
Yeah.
But now the more that I surround myself, individuals like yourself, and going to different events. I went to an event on Friday with Dr. Areeba.
Oh, yeah.
He has a book out, and that just blessed my heart. So going to those different events, and even, back when I was at Faith Alive with, Pastor Russell Thomason, he would talk about singleness and it, meaning that you becoming whole. So even that, being poured into me allowed me to say, okay, this is a good season.
Right.
This is a good time to really know who I am.
Right.
And not depending on someone else to tell me who
right,
I am.
Right.
And I think a lot of times when I, was craving and desiring relationships and marriage, it was like, okay, I need companionship. Because in my mind, it's like, okay, when I get a husband, then my testimony going to be the bomb.com. Because now I can say, not only am I a virgin and I waited, but look, there he go, my husband. This is the, the happy
reward.
Ending, yes, to the story. So for a long time, I thought that the marriage was the ending of the story, and at that point, I can share it with the world. Until then, it was top secret. Nobody knew, like my mom and them. And so going to different events like that and allowing people to pour into me to understand what singleness means, I'm now thriving versus just surviving.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think we all, and I'm like you, like I'm just getting to a place, although I'm very open about waiting and just everything that comes along with waiting, but I haven't been open. Holy Spirit has shown me about my personal story, especially with the blog. I have been really intentional about pushing purity and abstinence, but not me. I just started putting pictures of myself on the blog's IG page and that different type of thing, because I was like, I don't want this to be about me, and I want, when I do talk about me, it's about the testimony of now I'm married. Right. And it's like, no, you need to talk about when you're single. There's still a story leading up to that. So I think that's awesome that you're in a place where you're now thriving. And one thing I would say to just the church and then our families and friends is, you don't have to remind us that we're single. We are fully, fully aware that we're single. I mean, even my 6-year-old nephew was like, when are you having kids? Little boy, what do you want? Why are you bothering my life? Seriously, everybody and their mother wants to know when you're getting married, when you're having kids. I don't know. And now my answer is when the Lord wants, because I don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't have to remind your family members, your single family members, that they're single, because we're painfully aware. Every part of life reminds you that you're single. If you go out to dinner and you're by yourself, then you see all the smooching couples at the tables, you're single. If you go to the movies by yourself, you're sitting next to the couple that's sucking face the whole night. We know we're single. You don't have to tell us. So I think that's something that people don't realize. It's the same as when people get married and you're like, when are you having a baby? When are you having a baby? Meanwhile, they're in the background having infertility issues, and you don't know that. So stop being so nosy.
Yes.
That's my advice. Stop being so nosy.
Yes. To the many family members and family gatherings that I went to, and I had one aunt. She was like, "You don't know nobody on the football team?" I'm like, "Wow, okay." She was like, "Nobody." I was like, "First of all, I'm not even in school no more. You know, when I graduated 5-10 years ago, and you still ask me about God." She was like, "Nobody." You ain't dating nobody. I'm like, look, I really need you to back off. And it does create this anxiety and this okay, I don't want to talk about it. Just shut down. Don't want to go to family gatherings because they asking 101 questions.
Yeah.
Let another family member be married. Look, they married. What happened to you? I'm like, look, we not gonna go there today.
Yeah, and Caribbean people have no filter.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible, people. So all you Haitians and Bahamians and Jamaicans, stop it.
Stop.
Just stop it. Goodness. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way. So what would be some last words of encouragement to people who are virgins, that have just been in a place where, they're in their 20s, late 20s, 30s, some people even their 40s, and they're waiting. What would be words of encouragement, just some words of advice for them?
Keep waiting. Keep waiting until your marriage time, and until you get married. And for me, I'm so looking forward to it. And I know that that's going to be a time that my husband, me and him is going to share, and it's going to be new for me. Now for him, I don't know, but for me it is. And I'm not going to be carrying any other people into that relationship that I had sex with, because no one else would have touched me but my husband.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so looking forward to that. I really am, to share that moment with him and to say that, honey, you're my only one. And the different things that people say, like, well, how do you know if it's going to feel good if you never experienced anything? Exactly. You never experienced it. So you won't know if it feels good or not. You're going to make it work with your husband, right? So I look forward to it. I really do. And in this time of singleness, I'm working on me, because going into a relationship, your whole life changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about you anymore. It's about you and him.
Right.
So during this time of, not being distracted by, someone else I'm having sex with, and they got my mind all, caught up in them, if I'm in a relationship with someone, it's just really getting to know them,
right,
to see whether or not they're going to be my husband. But there's no, the sexual part isn't going to cloud my judgment,
right.
So I encourage you to just wait and, enjoy your singleness. I'm enjoying mine. I really am. When I'm to the place where I can finally say that I enjoy my singleness, I know that's when my husband's gonna come. Like, he's coming soon. Trust and believe that. I know you out there. You coming soon. It's been a long time, but I know you're gonna come correct, and we're gonna work on this together.
Listen, Areeba's face is beat every day. She got long, luscious, thick hair. She has a nice shape. Listen, guys.
Come on.
You're missing out on the prize here.
Jesus.
You're missing out on the prize.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that. And she's smart. She has a great job. Guys.
Come on.
You're missing out on the prize. So, if any guys, I have to vet you before you talk to her. So, hit me up in the inbox, DM me, anything you need, and I will make sure I make this transaction work. Areeba, thank you so much.
Of course.
For being so willing.
Yeah.
And open. Because listen, when I first asked her to do the interview, she was like, I was like, you're going to do it. I don't care if you don't want to do it. So I really thank you for just being open and transparent, like really transparent. And I'm saying some things that people really need to hear that we don't talk about. We don't celebrate enough. Like people that are keeping themselves and that have kept themselves all their lives and not, and even hearing, like, we think that sometimes when you've had sex, you have things that you have to work through. But even as a virgin, she has things that she's had to work through in order to get to a place where she's whole and in her singleness and where she's in a place where she's thriving. So no one's perfect. This journey isn't perfect. Don't beat yourself up. I really believe that God has just places and things that he has in place for us, for the people that will honor him, not just in our bodies but in the lives that we live and in the things that we do. So thank you guys for watching. If you can catch us on social media. All the social media sites are at iWaited blog. The actual site is www.iwaitedblog.com. And then also, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, you can email at iwaitedblog@gmail.com. So I will catch you guys later. Peace.